Welcome to the Way of Yin Yang. My name is Nuria Ibars. Indian Buddhism has profoundly influenced Chinese culture and Chinese medicine by way of an Indian man named Dharmo, or Bodhidharma. When Dharmo arrived at a Chinese Buddhist temple around 479 AD, he observed that the Buddhist priests were spiritually strong but physically weak. And Dharmo felt that there had to be a balance between the spiritual strength of a body and its physical fitness. So he developed a series of exercises for the Buddhist priests known as Qigong. The principles of Yin Yang are directly linked to the Chinese martial arts and Qigong, which brings me to my guest today, Dan Vasquez. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Nuria. It's a real pleasure to be here today to discuss the merits of Qigong practice for you and our viewers.
Dan, what is Qigong?
Let's start by describing Qi to help us understand what Qigong is. Let's think of things, solid things around us, including our bodies. If we look at these things at an atomic or subatomic level, we will find that our bodies are, and everything around us, are 99.99% empty space. What this means is we are part of an energy matrix that fills the whole universe. And conscious energy is what creates our reality and affects it directly. So Qigong is a way to connect to it. Qigong is one of three major healing systems in traditional Chinese medicine that goes back thousands of years. The term Qigong is roughly translated as vital life force cultivation, and with proper practice and diligence, it can also lead to the possibility of consciously guiding the energy throughout one's body and possibly even further on beyond the body. So basically, Qigong is a way to guide the energy and in a way to heal yourself and a way to connect to this infinite source of energy that we are all part of.
How did you get involved in Qigong?
Well, I was real young. Before I started taking Qigong, I was actually into meditation. I studied meditation with a karate instructor when I was 12 years old. And he taught us Zen meditation. And basically there were some visualizational techniques. There were some vocalizations and, chanting and so forth in order to get into the state of meditation. Well, I adapted this soon after that when I started learning Kung Fu. One day, I was actually reading an article in an Inside Kung Fu magazine, or it may have been Black Belt magazine. One of those magazines, there was an article in there, and I'm going to say the name, just kind of paraphrasing, but it was called The 18 Buddha Hands. And this article consisted of these 18 postures. It was a figure of like a monk character in 18 different postures. I read the article, studied the notes, and I memorized each one of these 18 postures, and then I linked them together as best I can. And I used to practice them in a linked fashion slowly before I did my Kung Fu practice. And then I would end my Kung Fu practice with the sitting meditation and adaptation of the Zen meditation that I took. But before that, when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I would get in trouble for whatever and sent into my room. I would sit on my bunk bed and look at the ceiling, and I would pick a spot, and from there I would actually play a game with myself to see how long I could stare at this point without blinking, which eventually made me come to the point that I had to focus on something so that I would not blink. So what I did is I focused on the breath, on the breathing, and it helped me not blink. And during this time, I would notice there would be swirls of light, dark and lightness as my eyes stayed open. And I felt it was some kind of energy. I didn't know what it was, but I felt comfortable with it and I liked it. So to answer your question, I was either destined to learn Qigong or I was a practitioner of it in a previous life. And the irony is these 18 postures that I had learned, fast forward 8 years, my Kung Fu teacher, Grandmaster Fred Spencer, had met the family of this Kung Fu style named Choi Li Fut that we had been practicing. The family of this system is one of the only systems in the world that teaches the 18 Lohan hands. It was actually called the 18 Low Hands, and it was passed down by Bodhidharma to the Shaolin monks. And this is this was a version of it that I had learned. So over a period of about 5 years, watching my teacher and his teacher teach it to several people, I was able to actually memorize their version of it. So eventually, I formulated my own version of it to kind of be in pace with the several versions that exist today of the family. And that was my first Qigong, but since about 15 to 16 years ago, I formally started learning Qigong, Taoist Qigong, from a few teachers since. So, I've been practicing Qigong. I've been involved with it or been knowing about it for about 30 years, actively practicing it probably about 23 years. So,
Beautiful.
First, you want to relax the mind. Stand about shoulder width apart of the legs. And breathe down deep into the bottom of your belly, like just below the navel. When you inhale, you want that area to expand. Just bring the energy up as you inhale first. Turn the leg and then lean forward. Exhale. Put in about 60% of the weight on the front leg. Shift it to the back leg. Now, inhaling as the hands rise. Shift the weight and push forward as you exhale. You're inhaling fresh oxygen, and then you're exhaling the stale oxygen as you push out. Going from side to side, inhaling as you rise, and exhale as you push. Shifting the weight gently from one leg to another. Shift it to the back, turn. Now frontal version. Inhaling up and pushing as you exhale out. Sink the legs. The legs kind of stand up as you inhale, bring the energy up. And then sink as you push it out, exhaling gently. Breathing deep to the lower abdomen, filling it up. And then exhaling. Inhaling deep. And then exhaling back down to the elixir field, which is known as the dantian, just below the belly button. About 3 finger widths below the belly button and about 2 finger widths inward. So now we're just kind of putting the chi down into the dantian. And now we're going to go into the next posture, which is a good static posture, but it's also comes from holding the ball. But this is, you're holding the ball, but you're also rotating the ball. As you can see, we're rotating it. And then we switched it to the other side. And now we're going to switch it to vertical. So now it's actually in a vertical ball. Now it's just alternating between one side and the other, or in the middle. Now you're going to hold that ball and visualize your fingertips. They're like magnets that they're repelling each other. Each fingertip is repelling its opposite side. Or if you want to do it the other way, you can actually make as if they were actually attracted to each other. Now we're putting the energy in the dantian, or the elixir field. And if you're male, some styles say you put the left hand on the right. Female, right on the left. One is yin, one is yang. Now the hands face the earth here. And we're going to just absorb energy from the earth. That posture can be held for like 5-10 minutes. I'm just showing these as a demonstration. Now you rise up, the legs straighten up, and you inhale all the way up, and you slightly arc the back as you finish inhaling, and then you bend the knees and exhale downward. So you're rising, inhaling, the legs stand up straight, slightly end up in a slight arc of the back. Now you bend the knees again, you're exhaling, palms facing down till the fingers reach the legs, and then you repeat it again. You're rising and you're inhaling deep down, filling your lower abdomen or your dantian area. Now you're sinking as you exhale, getting out all the stale air, oxygen, carbon dioxide, whatever you want to call it, stress, illness. It's all coming out. You're inhaling fresh, and now you're exhaling anything negative. Send it down from your feet into the earth, and let earth neutralize this energy and exchange neutral energy with it, potential energy. So you are like a conduit between the cosmos or outer space and the earth, like an antenna or a tree. So now we're just relaxing a little bit. We've done several of those. Now this is primordial Qigong here. This is influenced by the primordial Qigong, Hunyuan Gong. And your hands just face down and outward, forward, as you inhale as they rise, and you exhale as they fall. And they come down by the sides. The legs stay bent, and you're exhaling. You're always being conscious or aware of the area just below your belly button. And you're breathing to and from that area. And also, if the hands are in front, then you gaze either at the direction of the hand or at the space in between the two if there's two hands. So all this is happening at the same time. You're lifting the head to the sky. At the same time, your lower body, the perineum area, just underneath the bottom of the body, is actually being pulled downward simultaneously in everything you do. Next exercise here. This is expanding and compacting or compressing. You inhale as they separate and exhale as they come close. Inhaling and exhaling. Go at the speed you want. Go super slow, or you can go at this pace, which is kind of a little bit of a moderate speed. The slower the better. You have to time the breath with it exactly with the movement. So you're inhaling and then exhaling. Inhaling fresh, exhaling old. Inhaling down to your elixir field or your dantian, just below the belly button. The top of your head is open to outer space, and there's cosmic energy coming down into your head, down your spine, and it's collecting in your elixir field, your dantian. You kind of want to visualize a ball of light down there, and it's bright, getting brighter and brighter the more exercises you do. Here we inhaled up, we're gathering energy, and then we're bringing it down to the dantian. Just like we just visualized, with the cosmic energy coming into the top of our head and in through our lungs, and then it's coming down, settling into the dantian, down through your legs into the earth. Inhale the good, fresh, exhale the stale and the old and the bad. Do as many reps as you want of each of these exercises. I recommend doing about 9. It's a good round number. You can do 8, you can do 7, 10, up to you. You just want to make sure the whole body is relaxed, not limp relaxed, but just relaxed, but not tense either. Now we're gonna do like a static posture for a second. This leads into one where it's dragon. Dragon turns his body, also known as dragon whips his tail, or also dragon extends his claw. This one, you're actually inhaling as you to the center, and then you're exhaling as you turn 45 degrees, bringing one palm close to the chest, which is your heart chakra, or your heart dantian, or the middle dantian. Some people will actually do the solar plexus, because it's just below the heart chakra, and that is actually known as the central dantian in Chinese culture. The heart chakra is just above that. If you'd like, you can do it right in between the two, or do one and then do the other, alternate between the two. This exercise here, so you're exhaling as you turn out, and you're inhaling as you come to the center. It's aimed at opening up those chakras in the middle. In the beginning, we actually stimulated the energy at the lower dantian. Now we move to the middle one. And now we're going to start going a little bit higher and try to bring the energy up to the third eye chakra, or the upper dantian, or the upper elixir field, which is, between the eyebrows at the center of the brain. This exercise here is it's derivative from it's influenced by many things, such as, Lady Works the Shuttle of Tai Chi. It's also related to a lot of the Bagua techniques, Bagua Chang, which I will discuss later in the future. That one there, it's actually opening up the meridians of the inside of the arm, and it's bringing it down to the center of the body, aligning it with the central channel, or the also known as the conception vessel. Now we're actually nurturing the Dantian, and we're finishing off with that.
Now, I understand it's considered a way to improve your health as well as prolong your life, because you can direct the qi to the 5 organs of your body.
Absolutely.
Would you please tell us a little bit about that?
This is what happens here is, being that Qigong is one of the 3 major healing systems in traditional Chinese medicine. The other 2 are acupuncture and herbology. The thing they all have in common is they all seek to create a balance between the yin and yang qi in the body. It is a common belief in Eastern medicine that most, if not all, illnesses are a direct result of physical or emotional blockages. And by freeing up these blockages, like to the organs, as you said, it will actually allow the body to heal itself. So the benefits are numerous. In fact, in China, there are Chinese masters that can actually heal just about any illness, including cancer, and with data to back it up. So, but this is how it goes. The body has several channels or meridians, and the qi flows up and down these meridians, and they're up and down your legs and up your torso, but each one is related to a pair of organs, like the water element. That is related to the kidneys and the bladder. And then there's the wood element, which is the second, and that is related to the liver and the gallbladder. Fire is related to the heart, small intestine. Earth is related to the spleen, pancreas, and stomach. And then earth actually gives energy to metal, which is the metal which is related to the lungs and the colon, or the large intestine. And that's pretty much all the organs in the 5-element balance and the flows. And it's related to the time of the day, it's related to the seasons, to the directions. All these things come into play when practicing Qigong, or when you're seeking healing, or when you are a healer. You have to consider all of these things. And so so blockages create illness. The flow of qi allows suppleness, and there's a saying in Chinese philosophy, that something that is alive and pliable is a sign of life, but something that is dead is stiff and brittle. It's like they use a branch or a tree as an example. So basically, what qi does is it allows the blood and the qi to circulate, creating a relaxation, a sense of well-being and harmony. Some people get energy from it. And of course, there have been many, many cases where things such as cancer and other diseases have been eliminated. Yes.
So what's the future for Qigong in this Western society that we live in?
Well, when you look at things on the atomic level, say, let's look at a neuron, for instance. When you magnify a neuron, there are the connective tissues that are called synapses. And then when you magnify it even further down, the synapses are made of these things called tubules. And tubules, when you magnify that even further, it's like a fiber optic mesh of wires. And what qi actually is, and has been discovered by quantum physicists and scientists, is basically a biophoton. That's what one unit of qi is a biophoton. And as you know, in parts of the world, they collide photons at really high speed in order to watch the explosion and analyze the outcome, because there's something to it. They know that we are all just a hologram of light that's being held together, that's 99.99% empty space, but yet with our senses it's solid, and so it's like an illusion to us, but in reality everything is just pure energy and different forms of vibration. And speaking of which, there are several organizations that have discovered that the organs, like the heart and the brain, they actually radiate energy far distances. The heart, being the stronger of the two, can radiate energy up to 30 feet or more.
Oh, really?
So
How interesting.
So actually, science and ancient knowledge are actually starting to merge nowadays, and I believe that as more and more people realize what this is, or discover Qigong for themselves, I believe that there'll be this paradigm shift in the wellness community will actually shift a lot faster, and humanity can actually move on with a a healthy way of keeping themselves healthy and helping others once their vitality is full, and just keeping away pathogens and illnesses. And if you move it all the time, you won't lose it. That's what Qigong does. It just it consists of, there's dynamic and smooth movements, which would look a lot like what we know of today as Tai Chi Chuan, and then there's static and stationary standing postures with visualizations, vocalizations, and breathing techniques. Combined, it creates a synergistic awareness of movement that actually creates a template or a tool that we can use to become one and discover our energy, become one with it, cultivate it, and then learn to conserve it, and then learn to clean it, and then learn to issue it. And possibly a lot like Qigong's cousin Reiki, it is also a form of healing where you can actually touch or not touch. And it's wonderful. I mean, it doesn't need any electricity. You don't need any power, any kind of anything. All you need is a safe, quiet place to actually do Qigong, practice it for yourself, or if you are a healer, like there are several in the world, very high-level healers, master healers, that can actually do many things. Like I've seen a video on YouTube where 3 Qigong masters and a nurse were actually working on a lady who had an inoperable tumor in her bladder. And they had a before shot with a sonogram or ultrasound, and then the current shot side by side. And an American scientist was there in the room. He was actually filming it with his camcorder. But these 3 masters were just focusing on this woman's bladder, and they were chanting a phrase that's similar to something like, "It's already better, it's already better, it's already better." Within under 3 minutes, they shrunk that tumor down to nothing. Oh, and the lady was cured, and they have it right there on camera. It's on YouTube. So that's one example of the power of Qigong, when it's practiced.
What's the hardest thing for a layperson to learn when they first come in contact with the exercises?
Basically, they have to learn the breathing. When we're born, a lot of people don't know this. When a baby is a newborn, if you watch their belly when they breathe, you would notice that when they inhale, their little belly sucks inward. When they exhale, it relaxes outward, which is the opposite of what we do. We want to fill it up when we inhale and the opposite when we exhale. Well, this is because they were in the womb and they were connected to an umbilical cord. And when they needed nutrients and supplements, they sucked in. When they needed to eliminate something, they pushed out. So this breathing is known as reverse breathing. This is the hardest thing to learn. But before that, I wouldn't recommend it until you've actually mastered what they call abdominal breathing. And this breathing is basically not just filling the lungs, you're actually breathing down into the lower abdomen, filling it up first and then filling the lungs. As a result, getting more oxygen in your blood and in your body, and which also will prolong life. In the long run, you'll get more air per breath than you would if you were unconsciously breathing. So Qigong teaches you to be conscious of your breathing, and that's the hardest thing to do while you're moving or visualizing something. But if you just keep trying, if you keep practicing it, you will succeed, and it'll become natural. The breathing will become natural for you. This exercise, you want to step out shoulder width. Now we're going to breathe in to our lower elixir field as the arms rise up. Inhaling, sink the knees a little bit, and I'll expand them. Continue inhaling, wiggling the thumbs, and then you're exhaling as they're coming close. Exhaling down the chest, down the top of the legs or the front of the legs, all the way to the tip of the toes, and then look at the right wing, and then you inhale up as you stand up, and then you exhale down. This exercise can be repeated up to 9 times, I recommend. We'll do it a few times here. Inhaling, wiggling the thumbs, looking back, looking up at the sky, exhaling as it comes close. Continue exhaling down, rubbing the chest, rubbing the top of the torso, down the legs to the tip of the toes. And now begin to inhale here. Look at the right hand when you do that. when you're bent over like that. Exhaling down. This one here is actually stimulating the metal element or the lung meridian, wiggling the thumbs. Exhaling as it comes close. Exhaling down the chest. Down basically it's the liver and the spleen, pancreas meridians. Inhaling up and then exhaling down. You're opening up these meridians, which also is kind of balancing the metal and the wood elements. Now the next one is you rising up, making two crane beaks with the fingers, holding all the fingertips together. Inhale up and then exhale as you push forward. Now we're inhaling and then we're exhaling. This is kind of tricky here. Exhaling down. Okay, you rise up, fingers together. Inhaling, and now you exhale, wiggling the pinky fingers as you extend. Inhale, not as wide as the previous one, and now you start to exhale, and then you flick the middle finger and the thumb as you wiggle the thumb and the middle finger as the hands go back down to the sides. So you inhale up, exhale forward, inhaling, and now exhaling, and flick the thumb and index finger. Now you're wiggling the thumb and the middle finger as the hand falls to the sides. Again, you can repeat this several times. This one, you step back 45 degrees, put the weight on the back leg. Hands rise as you inhale. Exhale all the way down to the tip of the toes. Inhaling all the way up the leg to the height of the center of the body, like the heart. And as you exhale and push out, you open the eyes wide and just gaze out into the distance. Inhaling all the way up. Switch again. Exhaling down. Bringing the energy up the leg to the chest, and then open the eyes wide as you push out and exhale, shifting the weight to the front leg. You lift up as you inhale, and you switch the legs, and then exhale. Follow along as best you can. I wouldn't recommend overdoing this if you don't know it exactly how I'm doing it. In fact, some of these exercises have been altered to make them easier. So, consult a teacher if you really want to learn Qigong. So you're inhaling all the way up the body to the center, and then you're exhaling, pushing out, opening the eyes wide. The eyes stimulate the liver. The central chakra there also feeds energy to the liver, spleen, and pancreas. So this whole area, you're bringing up energy from the earth to this area, and then you're exhaling, pushing forward, opening the eyes wide, stimulating the liver. And this is repeated over and over again, from one side to another. Notice how I shift the weight from one leg to another after I turn the leg. Inhaling and pushing. I turn the foot as I rise up the palms, inhaling, and then I switch it back to normal. Go back to shoulder width stance. When you're done,
I've read a couple of articles about the divers, that they're free fall divers under the ocean that go on the rope all the way down.
oh yes.
And that reminds me, I wonder if they actually train in Qigong to accomplish that feat, because they go really deep without any assistance other
Yes.
than their own breath.
I believe if they did, it would probably improve it. But I think that many cultures around the world, or many activities in the world, probably share that type of breathing. I would imagine, like a flautist who plays flute. I'm sure they have to actually work on deeper breathing so they can hold a note longer. Various things like that, diving and stuff. That all has to do with the breathing. Yes, Qigong is definitely breath work, and I wonder myself. But I would not doubt it. I wouldn't doubt if many of those divers actually practice some sort of meditation or yoga or some kind of a breathing exercise, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. It's wonderful practice that
Thank
you
you.
follow.
I appreciate it. It's really been a pleasure, and it's really nice to be here and to explain my thoughts on Qigong.
This has been The Way of Yin Yang. I'm Nuria Ibars with our special guest, Dan Vasquez. We hope to see you next time on The Way of Yin Yang.